where we perhaps will be auto disconnected. So I think it's best that we get started. So at least if you all can say hi and just let me know that whether I'm audible and visible would be very, very helpful. Am I clearly audible and visible?
Yes, Priya, you are audible. Very clear.
Thank you so much. A warm welcome to everybody. I will first begin by sharing my presentation with all of you. I hope you all can see this. So, as you are aware, my topic for today is implementing agency. Before I start the topic, I would briefly introduce myself. I am Priyadarshini. I am a teacher at Srinidhi International School. I teach secondary English and psychology, and I'm also the learning events coordinator. Very interestingly, I am just 7, 8 years experienced in teaching, and I'm very lucky that I have been able to teach and associate with each grade level from toddlers up till grade 10. In some or the other capacity, I think I've been very lucky, and this diverse experience has had a lot of impact. And the common point that I found in this experience of mine is agency. And to that, I would like to connect that why I chose this topic of saying implementing agency. As IB teachers, or as we say, IB facilitators, we have heard a lot about student agency and all that. But though I have taught in many other curriculum, I would like to emphasize the fact that agency is not only something that is pertaining to IB now, but it is something very relevant to all the curriculums. So as teachers, as facilitators, we are all on the same page. And this is why I thought at this juncture, we hear a lot about agency, but sometimes I think that, we deter from actually enabling a lot of agency in our classrooms. So this is where my need for choosing this topic occurred. Now, before we move on to any further, I would like to ask you that there are three stakeholders in a child's life. We are all aware of it, but if we can all put it down in the chat, just to reiterate that we're all on the same page, who are the three main stakeholders in a child's life? If you can just write it to me in the chat. Exactly. Thank you, Miss Lena. Perfect. So parents, teachers, and students. So all three stakeholders are very, very important. Sometimes we forget that a child himself or herself is very, very important and is a stakeholder to his or her own learning. So are the parents and the teachers. So we are all on the same page. Now, moving forward, my discussion will be pertaining two parts. We will talk about firstly what is agency and the implementation of agency. From the picture, you will understand, as I said at the beginning, that agency is the very center of the curriculum of the program or education. It contains everything. It's one of the pivotal pillars of education. You can connect it to subjects, approaches to teaching, learning, action, exhibition, learner profiles, TD themes, IDUs, everything. So I will be first taking you through the understanding of agency and then implementation of agency or the strategies of implementation of agency. So I would like to share this Padlet link with all of you. And if you could all put in your thoughts so that we can understand what is your understanding of agency, that would be very good. I request all of you to put your hands together and let us all write down what do we understand about agency, or how do you perceive agency as. The Padlet link is with you in the chat. We can spend 5 minutes in this. And if it is not too much to ask, if I may politely ask you all to turn on your cameras, it would be really good. I'm not understanding whether y'all are here or not. So if it is not too much to ask, it would be great if you could turn on your cameras. It would be lovely to see all of you. But I understand if it is a problem as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Rosa. Means a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jean. Thank you, Ms. Angela. Thank you so much. Yes, so we let the learner discover for themselves the concepts we are trying to teach through inquiry methods and activities. Wonderful. Agency is the ability and privilege to able to express themselves and have a show voice that is heard. Agency, according to me, refers to the responsibility taken by the students for their learning. Perfect. So that actually covers voice, choice, and ownership. As we all know, our parents would say since we were young that when you take action, you take consequences. You take charge of consequences. Student agency exactly talks about that. When you have a when you're given with choice, because you have voiced something, you will also have to take ownership. And from there comes the concept of leading your own learning. In our days, the teacher would come and tell us, today we are going to learn germination. Today we are going to learn photosynthesis without any context, right? Why are we learning germination all of a sudden? There is no context. Say, for example, today I tell you, students, let us research about Nizams. I'm from Hyderabad, based in Hyderabad currently. If I just say, let's talk about the Duke of Normandy, let's talk about the Duke of Edinburgh, let's just research about Nizams. That is a learning which is not contextual. The child will not know what research one can do, because when you talk about Nizams, it could be the Nizami food, the Nizami era, the cloths, the Nizams of Hyderabad, a particular Nizam, the first Nizam, the last Nizam. There is no context. There is no context because there is being no ownership. There has been no discussion prior why it is important to learn or discuss about Nizams at this point in time. This is where the student agency plays the role, where you walk into a class and you facilitate learning. We do not teach anymore, we facilitate. Okay, there's a lot going on in Gaza. So, what can we find out? What is the data that we can find out? What is the latest research that we can find out? Are you interested? If you say you're interested, we can facilitate it. If you say, no, ma'am, I'm really not interested right now, let's discuss about something else. So this is where agency plays a very, very important role. So to sum up agency, according to my understanding, agency is the capacity to take initiative. It is also to drive one's own learning experience. It is very crucial in education because it empowers the student. When you take ownership, when you say, okay, I want to do this, I don't want to do that, you are cognizant of the fact of the learning that is happening. Initially, what happened was bunch of children were very lost. They almost had no clue. It doesn't necessarily mean that agency will imply great performance. However, it will definitely ensure that there are engaged learners there. There's a difference between engaged learners and high quality performing learners. So agency is about empowering children, enabling critical thinking, leading one's own learning, developing life skills. In our time, I strongly believe life skills weren't a thing. But because now we are preparing students for jobs that doesn't exist yet, because the world is ever more changing right now, I think developing life skills are most important. Obviously, there is service learning and putting into real action. Contextual learning, learning is personalized, empathetic, and resilient. In a sense, fostering agency in education is fundamental as it transforms students from merely being passive recipient of knowledge to active engaged learner. I think this as a teacher really makes me very happy that my class is definitely engaged because I ensure right from the beginning of the class when I put in the learning objective on the table on the board that I know my students are definitely active engaged learner. Instead, when you walk into a class where they're just recipient, because in those times master classes, top load kind of methods were very popular, but right now it is more collaborative, it is more student driven, it is more engaging. So as very rightly said in this quote, student agency is ownership. Learner agency has everything. It has subjective experiences. Also, we must remember one
Still
fact.
cannot see the PowerPoint. Sorry to interrupt.
Pardon?
We still cannot see the PowerPoint.
Oh,
We
really?
can see. Yes, I'm sorry. We were trying to send a message. Sorry for interrupting you.
No problem, no problem. Oh, really? Okay. Thank you so much. You can't see the PowerPoint. Oh, your screen is being paused. Um, oh, just 1 second. Screen sharing is stopped. 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Oh, for all this while you couldn't see any of the PPT? Oh,
No.
I'm so sorry. I'll just take 1 minute to take you through the PPT. This is my introduction. Believe it or not, the person and the picture and me are the same, if you believe it. Not long ago, but just the hair is gone now. And I did speak about why I chose this topic because I thought agency was at the center. And we did speak about the three stakeholders. And this is where I was talking about agency being at the center because it connects the subjects, the approaches to learning, and oh, I'm so sorry. I just feel very silly at the moment. Yep. And that's, yeah. So I was talking from here. This is what I personally believe in. I think I've covered these points. And as you can see from the pictures here, that student agency talks about a lot about ownership and empowerment, engagement, and subject experiences, choices, social emotional learning. When you're cognizant about the ownership, definitely your social and emotional well-being, learning comes in context as well. Obviously, there is metacognition, there is self-determination, learner ownership, so on and so forth. From here, a very important questions come to my mind, and I've always debated about this with my colleagues and leaders. When we talk about agency, does it give us a license that we can take any work from student? When I say any work, as we know, at least in secondary, we have criterias, we have certain expectation out of a task. If a child is consistently not meeting the criteria of task, but is the child's own work, do we accept such work? I'll give you one example. We all do boards, the learning space. We do boards in our corridors, in our classrooms, because we want to put up the learning that the child demonstrates. But if a child or if a bunch of children are found to come up with very, very poor quality work, or work, say for instance, if the child is in grade 7, but meeting criteria of only grade 4, do we accept such work in the name of agency? I would like you to let's have a discussion on that. What is your take on this?
I do think that regardless of the level, it's important to show what they are producing. I would say that if the situation over here, it will be grade 4 when I'm expecting grade 6 or grade 7. Maybe I need to reflect on how I can differentiate more, how I can adjust, how can I provide opportunities for the students to be using their strengths and improve that.
Okay, that's very nice. Yes, Ms. Jayati.
Yes, I do agree to a certain extent with what my fellow participant said just now. However, um, it is also to make the students aspire for the expected level to achieve. I think it is important to show them where they are currently, and uh, there is nothing wrong in displaying the work, but at the same time helping the student to understand that it is not really there. So for that, some scaffolding in the display board, if it is there, that the levels, uh, maybe that would help, or in privately talking to the student and showing the path forward will help. However, if your question was whether it is student agency, not really student agency, because the child, whether it is his fault or whether it is the system's lack to support him, that even in grade 7 he's showing grade 4 level, is a question that I think the as education ecosystem should also be asking.
Right.
Thank you.
That's
For
a lot of points. Thank you so much. That covers a lot of points. Thank you so much. We will definitely discuss that. Yes, Mr. Can I pronounce your name as Mr. Jean?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Mitra. I think when it comes to this, sometimes it might depend on the learners probably not having understood the criteria and the rubrics and actually what is expected of them. So I think when, let's say, learners submit such a work, I think as a teacher, you need to maybe talk to them so that actually you can understand what they understand from the activity or from actually the questions, so that you can understand, because you may find that maybe at times maybe they didn't understand the task that actually they were supposed to do.
Exactly.
So I believe that if you speak to them, then they will clearly tell you how they understood the task. Then from now that point, then you can be able actually to tell them what was demanded of them and what was the question asking them to do. Then when you tell them, then maybe you can give them a second chance, and then they can be able to answer answer correctly the task that you had actually wanted, and they give you what you demand of them.
Exactly. I mean, perfectly. Even I absolutely support what both of you said, and it's absolutely pertinent that it could be the students did not understand the criteria, the rubric, the task for that matter. Sometimes children don't. Like I've displayed a task of a child who was supposed to write a script, and the child did not meet the criteria because the criteria, there was a particular topic that she had to write around, and she had to bring in a lot more characters, whereas this is only character, she has only demonstrated only 2 characters, and she did not perhaps understand the criterias. However, my personal experience has also been that if we keep aside, if we go by the fact that the child did understand the tasks, the child did understand the criteria, the child was differentiated enough, and the teacher did guide the child, and still there is some lag there. I have seen a lot of facilitators and teachers are accepting their work. I personally believe that just by saying the word agency or student work, I do not want to accept such tasks, because when you accept such tasks, the learning of that child draws an end. The child thinks, okay, for this task, I am done. It is done and dusted. But I like to think and I like to persuade the student that I understand it's your choice, but because we are facilitators here, we will push you. We will ensure that we are bringing out the best, the best, the best. It could be the first draft. I'm talking mainly in the perspective of English here. It could be the first draft, it could be the 6th draft, it could be the 7th draft as well. But I strongly believe that uh, getting away in the name of agency, okay, it was a child's work, it wasn't that great, we understand, but okay, the child, this is as much the child can do. I think this is a notion where I feel the child is being limited, and as educators we perhaps do not want to do that. So this is where I thought the debatable question comes, that how important it is to keep alive agency, but also focus on criteria, rubrics, and meeting the levels and the standards at the same time, because each grade level have different grade level expectation. Each subject has different expectation, be it primary or secondary. Moving on, I thought that we all do a lot of visible thinking routine. And whenever we talk about any new learning or reiteration of learning, we usually use similar thinking routine. Like this is a mind map. This is very straightforward. But I use this kind of thinking routine a lot. I'm not sure whether you have come across this. There is a very important site called Harvard Project Zero. It's an online site where you can find innumerable. In fact, I can show it to you. This is the Harvard education. Can you see my screen, Miss Rosa, if you, or Mr. John, if you can just let me know if you can see my screen.
We can.
We can, thank you. So this is an app where you will find innumerable thinking routines and methods to actually implement. This is a Project Zero thinking routine by Harvard, where you can actually implement a lot of, see, these are the thinking categories. They are amazing, where you can actually implement agency in the classroom. So to discuss about one of the thinking routines, I have thought about a routine called compass points, where E stands for why are we excited about the agency? What is the upside that we see in the agency? W is worrisome. What worries you about agency? What's the downside of agency? Then what do you need to know about agency still? What are the additional information would you like to help and evaluate things with? And what are the stance or suggestions that you would like to add on moving forward to your current opinion about agency? So if we can also chat, put this into chat, that it could be either you could put a E or a W or a N or a S, or you can put all 4 of them if you like. Then we can see where we stand. about our discussion around agency. Maybe I can stop sharing for a while and you can all. Miss Uma, Miss Leena, Miss Tasneem, thank you so much for your comments. I am reading them now. And our exceptions clearly. Thank you so much. Yes, we all agree to what you say, and we connected. Like I said, I just have one small disconnect here, one small disagreement that till the end I feel, and I'm actually being very honest. In my previous schools also, I've seen, especially the learning boards, the learning spaces, I've seen, just especially with the little ones, they're just scribbling, and the teacher is putting it on the board. This is a very specific example. Say for instance, I don't know the context, and I'm just crossing the corridor, and I'm a child, and I just see the scribble, and I think that I might be misled. I might not be happy about the context, about the learning that is happening there. So sometimes I think student agency is not the all, but we have to be cognizant about other factors as well. There's a very personal take on this, actually. Excites, helps in responsibility, ownership, and personal growth. Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Sri Lakshmi. Certainly, I will go here. I've tried this, but not accepting their work. Yes, Mr. Sneem, I agree to you completely here that yes, at once, just because it is a child's work, we cannot accept it. Yes, that is, I'm 100% with you on this. I would request if somebody can give some suggestion, that would be really nice. If you can suggest, or if you can say what we need to know. When and how much agency can be given? Can everything be accepted without disappointing the learning? Exactly. Ms. Sri Lakshmi, I am also on the same page with you that how much, like there's a saying, how much is too much, right? How much we can, how much agency that we can give, and that makes us, okay, sure, okay, this we've given that much, and thus far and no farther. As facilitators, as teachers, are we being able to create such boundary, such where we understand that okay, this is a boundary, or the fundamental question arises from that is there any boundary of agency at all, or is it you can just go about it? So this is very, very important. I think the clock is ticking very fast. We will take it forward, but now it's time that we move on, because just now Zoom has told me I just have 10 minutes left. I request one of you, if you can say that you can see my PPT once again. Is my PPT
Yes.
visible? Thank you so much.
Yes, yes,
So now
yes.
we will go on. How do we apply agency in our classroom, right? Let's take 3 examples. It's very, very relevant. The school may be considering an idea of a dress code or a new uniform. A teacher might present the class with the idea of altering the room arrangement, or a character in a book might be confronted with making a choice, and so on. These are 3 different criteria. Now, how do we apply strategies? There are various kind of strategies that are applicable. To delve deeper into this, let us take 3 case studies, okay? A student is experiencing boredom, repetitive nature of school assembly. Additionally, they are considerably dissatisfied by the quality of school meals and uniform. Despite their concerns, students believe that there is no means to impact change. That is a very administrative problem, but it impacts children. Now, a curriculum design problem. The history teachers adhere strictly to the syllabus, teaching solely from the textbook. However, students fail to feel engaged or connected. Very, very important. The contextual engagement is missing. They struggle to comprehend the significance of the text being taught because there's a lack of established contextual relevance. Now, assessment design. The science teacher administers weekly tests on Fridays. However, students have almost given up on preparing on it because they feel that there is no scope for any showcase of any skills, knowledge, or comprehension they possess. Now, these are 3 different concerns of children. As we can understand, obviously, there is huge scope for agency here, right? In one category, they can there are choices to be made, there are voices to be made, and obviously there has to be ownership. I feel it's important that we sometimes ask children, not how would you like to be tested, because I think the question itself lacks agency. Instead, if we can ask them, how would you want to demonstrate your understanding, your knowledge, your skills? I think there is a lot of room for agency, and the students can take ownership there. So these are case studies. These are the problems that children might face. So I did prepare for a Padlet, but obviously we are running out of time. So if we can come up with strategies to cater to those problems, I've just discussed 3 case studies. How do you think, if such problem is happening in your classroom, how would you enable agency in such context? If we can chat, put these in the chat, it would be really helpful. What would be the action plan, perhaps, that you would implement in the classroom? I would request you all to type it so that we can understand the best practices around agency that is happening in each other's classroom. There will definitely be takeaways then. Construct the assessment, show your learning, co-construct the assessment. I think it's very important. Co-construct the assessment. Yes. If the teachers and the students co-construct the assessment, it absolutely engages them. They are active owners. They own the assessment and they can demonstrate their learning very well. Thank you so much, Ms. Sri Lakshmi. Ms. Sri Lakshmi, yes. Can you please?
मी हे पाहिली 31 तारखेचे रेट जरा कमी असतात कोणी ट्रॅव्हल नाही करत ना
Yeah, if you, Ms. Jayati, if you can specify a bit more, give them choice and action to expression. How can we enable that? How do we give them, when we say that we give them choice and action for expression, how do we do that, Ms. Jayati?
So thank you for this opportunity. So universal design for learning, which, IB is really the framework on which it is based. So it has 3 principles. And one of the principles is multiple action and expression. That means that whenever, say, a concept has been taught, and then we give the students choice to express themselves and their learning. So some might write an essay, or some might want to create, presentation. Some might want to just speak it aloud. And if we can, for all of this, a generic rubric is given, that what are the expectations, and what are the learning outcomes that they need to showcase, but they can showcase it in their choice of say digital expression, or verbal expression, or written expression. Then that also gives a lot of agency to the students, because they really think what is the best way
Correct.
they want to express their learning.
So you've almost covered all the points that I had. Thank you so much, Ms. Jayati. I have written the best practice. This is what happens when teachers meet. We are always saying, common language. So as Ms. Jayati said, yes, when you communicate the learning objective clearly on the board to make sure that everybody's on the same page, contextual relevance. What is the context? Why is this important? Why are we learning this today? Why you're facing this problem of the fact that you can't voice your choice about uniforms? Enhance learning through critical reflection, facilitate ongoing feedback every day. It's not one test in one term. Then, peer feedback, establishing authenticity. Just because you're my friend, I will give you an 8. No. Authenticity, peer feedback. It should be constructive. Conduct engaging assessment. It should be very, very engaging, not something I cannot resonate with, I can't relate with. We can ask them about the medium, whether you want to present it on a flipped classroom, PPT, sit down test, make a podcast, anything. We just want you to demonstrate your learning. It doesn't have to be binded by a particular method of sit down or 1,000 words. Obviously, give choice to voice. And very, very importantly, teachers must also have some agency. In many, many strict IB schools, these days, teachers are losing out on agency, where everything is driven by the students. That is also not what is precedented either. So we are at the fag end of our time. Obviously, the feedback would be what I used to think agency, and now what I think. Basically, now whatever is your takeaway, like what new did you learn from the presentation? These are the resources I've used. Like I said, Harvard Education I've used. I have used NWEA. It's a very good site. I've obviously used my IB and Google. And down is my email ID. It's pdmitra99@gmail.com. If you have any feedback, any question, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer any of your question. It was very rushed up. I know I have 100 things to ask you and share, but I had vowed that I will not, run out of time. This is the time for question, unfortunately, but we couldn't do it because we are just at the last minute almost. But please reach out to me on, this is my email ID. If you have any question, I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you very much for being very kind and patient, for listening out to me. We hope to connect sometime soon. Thank you so much. If you have still any question, you can write to me in chat also. It's I wish
Can we get the presentation? I mean,
yes. It'll be on the resources. Everybody's getting everybody's. Thank you so much, Miss Namira, Miss Pooja, Miss Uma. Thank you so much. It means a lot.